Welcome to this November reading for personal growth and inner wisdom. And let me tell you, the cards that came out are pretty insane, and there's a lot of energy for this November because we got 4 major arcana in this 5 card reading. That turned out to be 6 because 2 cards came out for one position. 4 major arcana is a lot of energy because major arcana, let me remind you, have to do with major life lessons. There's a lot of things, big energy happening in this month of November. So let's dive in. So what energy are you coming into this month of November? We got 2 cards. 2 cards wanted to come out. The first card was the Ace of Wands. And the Ace of Wands is all about that spark, that kind of like energy. All of a sudden you have a new idea, this kind of emotion that comes up, and you just know that you have this, like, it's a flash of like inspiration and also motivation. Wands have to do with our energy, our spontaneity, our kind of like our passions. And so what you're coming in with is this new idea, this kind of new fresh thing. That could be so many things. It could be either that you have a new creative project you're working on, or maybe you're wanting to change jobs, or maybe you have a class that you want to take, or you want to go back to school. There's so many things that this Ace of Wands could be. The interesting thing, though, is it is paired with the Moon. This is the second card that came up. This is a major arcana. And the Moon is a very interesting card. The Moon has wonderful qualities about it, but the Moon also is a card of not feeling really sure about things, not seeing clearly. Because it's true that in the moonlight, we're not sure. We can't really tell whether, let's say, that shadow over there is something menacing or if it's just a shadow. And similarly, we can't always see what actually is really in the darkness that might be something dangerous. And so it's really hard to actually see clearly with the moon. And so what I'm getting from this pair of the 2 cards together is that you have this new idea, this new fresh thing that you're really wanting, you're passionate about, because Wands is about passion and enthusiasm and kind of that personal energy. But you're not really clear. It's not very clear how to make that happen. So again, with those examples I was giving, maybe you want to go back to school, but you're thinking, how's that going to work? How's that going to work with my job? How's that going to work with my family? It's almost like we have the idea, but we're not seeing clearly how to get it done. And but the interesting thing with the moon is it also comes with another wonderful message, is that basically you have to, since you can't see the moon, you can't use your logical senses, you can't use your eyes. Well, that is when you have to dive in and start really tuning into your intuition. And so the Moon card is often about our subconscious and really tuning into that part of ourselves, tuning into the part that, yes, we might not be able to see things so clearly right now, but this is not a time to use logic or intellect. It's actually a time to actually use our heart and what we feel. It might not seem logical, it might not be clear, it might not make any sense to anybody but ourselves, but that is what this card is calling on. So together, you're coming into the month of November kind of both pumped up with this new idea that you have, but also a little bit hesitant. So let's go and see some of the other cards because they seem to respond to these 2. So for the next card, what is your soul lesson this month? We got the Justice card. And I find that this card is really interesting as a combination to the ones above, because basically justice, as we know, traditionally this card is about justice and truth and kind of about like, balance. But again, justice is also again about, often the justice symbol is represented by somebody who is blindfolded, because to be able to have real justice, you shouldn't be swayed by maybe outside things. And again, it's kind of going with this one, which is you can't really use the senses that you're used to using to find justice and truth right now. Also, I think it's really interesting in this particular deck because this card is kind of divided in 2 with these 2 cats, and they're really like a mirror image of each other. We always want things to be black and white. We always want to just know things. Like, it's really hard to be in this moment with the moon and not knowing things. We wish we could see clearly. We wish it could just be black and white. But things are nuanced. And what's interesting in this card is that everything is a reflection of each other, and they're also really interconnected. So what I think this card is calling us to do this month is to remembering when we're trying to figure out where we're going, to figure out how to see and to figure out kind of like what is going on and to see more clearly and to be able to maybe go forward with this idea more confidently. Well, it's also to remember that when we're making our truth, when we're kind of figuring things out, it's nuanced things, and it might, and the right answer and the right path to take might not be obvious, and that is okay. Not to rush things, not to just want again to like jump into this side or that side because it's easier. So the next card is what to release this month. And wow, we got the death card. This is so interesting because death in itself, this card that's actually very much misunderstood, is not a bad card. But death card in itself is about release. It's about letting go. It's about letting go of all the things that are no longer needed. And so it's really interesting that it comes in this position of release. To me, I feel like it's just this like, it's like adding to it. It's like release, squared times 2 times 1,000, whatever. It's just like, okay, the message, we get it, tarot. The message this month, the things that are really needed to be released, like it's important to lean into that and to really remember that it's, it can be hard. And actually, even when I say that, I know it's easier said than done. I have so many things that I probably need to release, but we do tend to cling on to things sometimes, and it's so hard. And when it actually happens to us, and it's really difficult sometimes to release things. But this card is always a reminder that when you release things, you make way for new things. Maybe you make way for this new idea. Maybe you have to release things in order to find clarity. So it's just a card to remember that as hard as it is, it's about surrendering. And again, that word, we hear it all the time. It sounds great. We understand it, but when we're living it and feeling it, it really is different. So for the next card, what to lean into this month, we got the Father of Cups. And it's so funny because I find that this whole reading really kind of is this arc, and it's going to really make sense, especially at the end with the last card. But this one is just perfect because, again, as we were mentioning in the first card about the moon and about really not, right now is not a time to like really rely on your logical and intellectual sense, and really to lean more into your your intuition and your subconscious. Well, this card is exactly that, leaning into your heart, leaning into things that, maybe aren't always logical, but the heart. And cups have to do with relationships, feelings, emotions, creativity. So the Father of Cups is a very mature court card, and he has kind of like graduated through the cup suit to where he is now, and he's learned things along the way. And as this mature being in this suit, which is feelings, emotions, and just basically like relationships and things like that, he has learned that it's important to feel our emotions, and it's important to live in the heart, and it's also not to get swept away by the emotions. So he's able to kind of live through whatever you're going through right now. For example, you have this idea, but you're feeling lost, and that is confusing it as is, and is kind of like wanting to get to a new position. This Father of Cups knows that it's okay to lean into that discomfort, lean into that feeling that you're feeling, and then not add to it, not fuel it. He's able to kind of live the emotions and kind of like then move through them more easily. So just to remember to lean into your heart, and also lean into your heart for yourself, to be compassionate. And this is when the reading really gets interesting, is the message from your guides and your higher self. We have the Hangman. And the Hangman is always a really interesting card to have, because this card is about pausing. This card is about basically you've gotten rid of things, and you've released, and you've had a death, and you're in this new space, the space of like, you don't really know where you're going next. And actually, you do know where you're going next. You have the idea, you have that clarity, you have that vision, but you don't yet know where. And to me, that all makes sense with this card. This card is a message from your guide, is that this pause, this moment right now, is a moment of pausing. Don't try to force a solution. Don't try to force clarity or knowing a decision. Don't try to force a truth. Don't try to force a black or a white. Wait, let yourself be in that gray, as uncomfortable as it is. When we think about how pauses are important, we can think even about the trees. Every year they go through a winter period, a moment of nothingness, a moment where we actually think they're dead. And actually, they have had a death. They have had a death, but they're releasing something so that they can then come back and have something new. And this card then has that message of pause. But it also has a second message. And the second message is that while you're in this pause, look at this bat. This bat is turned upside down. When you're in this pause, try to see your situation from a different perspective. That is the message and the beauty of this card, is that this pausing moment is not just a moment of rest and kind of like figuring things out. It's also a moment of exploration, because you're in a new situation, you're in a new position, you're hanging upside down, things seem confusing, you can't see clearly, it's night, you don't know what's up or down, you don't know what's good or bad, you don't know which direction things are. But you can use this opportunity to start seeing your situation and whatever you're going through in a different light. And that is the beauty of that card. So on that, I know it's an intense reading. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of very intense energy. The fact that there's these 4 major arcana, to me, is just this indication that there's a lot of energy during this month, and that you're going to learn things during this month that are going to have lasting impacts on your life, and good lasting impacts, and just to trust the process. And as hard as it is, trust that moment of pause. Trust the fact that you can't see clearly right now, even if you have that passion and that new idea. Trust it will come to fruition, especially if you're able to release. So on that, I'm wishing you a wonderful month of November. Good luck navigating these kind of challenging times of not seeing things, but have faith that you can do it. And I will see you next video. I'm sending you lots of love and lots of laughter. Thanks for watching.